My name's Ezra. I'm in the first year of my PhD, so I started in October with working with Carly. And yeah, I'm 6 months in. I'm looking forward to next month getting out and starting collecting data. The title of my PhD is on the screen there. So it's Restoring a Rare Habitat, Managing Limestone Pavements for Plants and Invertebrates. So there's a real focus on limestone pavements, obviously, but you'll see it's all about restoration and management as well. So there's a real, really applied element to the project. I don't need to spend much time on this because we've kind of had a lot of the context for the PhD so far with what Carly said earlier. But generally, it's to sort of further research this issue of scrub encroachment on limestone pavements. So what Carly observed was tree cover increasing on limestone pavements in the last 50 years, and that being associated with that decrease in plant species richness. So yeah, I'm sort of in to try and delve further into that, try and understand maybe some of the mechanisms that are driving those changes. There's some reasons there on the screen that might be driving the decreases in plant species richness. It could be a change in the microclimate in the grikes. So there's quite a unique microclimate in grikes, and it might be that they just become too dark under dense scrub. It could be to do with leaf litter filling up the grikes, affecting the physical structure of the limestone pavement. Or it could be bryophytes spreading out of the grikes onto the clints and creating a thick layer. So there's some really interesting bryophyte communities on limestone pavements, which Sophie will talk about in a little bit. But it can be that certain species become dominant, and when they become too thick in their layer, they can inhibit germination of plant species. So yeah, this is kind of similar picture to the one that Carly showed earlier, and you can see some of these issues. It's zoomed in a bit further than normal, but leaf litter affecting the physical structure of the grike. You can see the moss coming out of the grikes onto the clint, and then that affects what species might grow, and then you get maybe more grassy species becoming present as well. So the way I'm going to start this year is by doing some really general surveys of open limestone pavement and wooded pavement. So we kind of touched on this earlier with some of our discussions. We don't know a huge amount about these specific communities. So what I'm looking at doing is looking at the differences between open and wooded pavement, the types of communities, both plants and invertebrates, that are associated with them, so we can start to understand more about the threat of scrub encroachment, what species might be impacted, and what might be benefiting from scrub encroachment in the wooded pavement as well. I'm going to do lots of different things this summer to try and get a good picture of the habitats, but also for myself to get out and try a few different things out and see what works, what doesn't work. So plant and pollinator surveys. I'm really interested in looking at seed rain and the soil seed bank, so mechanisms of plant dispersal. And that links back to my title about restoration and management. So if there isn't a sufficient seed source, either already in the soil seed bank or coming in through seed rain, management and restoration might be limited in terms of its success. Also looking at insects within the grikes of limestone pavements, which is something that hasn't been researched a huge amount. So looking at what's present in the soil, the thin amount of soil at the base of the grikes. The other thing I'm interested in looking at is also the microclimate. So that links to looking at this driver between wooded and open pavement. So what environmental variables change in terms of light and temperature, and yeah, looking at how that links to the species that you find there. Alongside that, this year and throughout the PhD, I'm looking at management trials. So Carly set up last year a couple of management trials, one at Gate Barrows and one at Home Park Quarry. So those are a removal of sort of scattered scrub where it's encroaching on open pavement. So over the next couple of years, I'll be looking at how those plant species initially respond to that management. As well as this, I'm working with Cumbria Wildlife Trust, with Scott, who's here, at Hut and Roof, to look at more dense scrub removal, and to look at whether you can restore limestone pavement that has been quite heavily encroached by scrub. So hopefully those different experiments will kind of complement each other well and give a better picture of how we might manage limestone pavements. And that's kind of what it's all about. It's about increasing that evidence base we talked a bit earlier about how we're monitoring them and managing them, and there's not a huge amount of evidence there, if any, to inform those management decisions. So hopefully the PhD will start to provide some of that evidence. While I'm up, I just wanted to put this on the screen. So the Limestone Pavement Partnership, which we're all taking part in today, is kind of now across lots of different social media platforms. There are a couple of these around the room, as well as one, I think, by the door. So if you want to come and sort of write down or take a picture of some of those, yeah, it'd be great to follow. And we'll try and do more regular updates of how we're getting on, sort of the four of us who you're about to hear from, as well as anyone else maybe within the partnership. We could try and share things through that as well. So yeah, that's everything I was going to say. Thank you.